Who do you think will be William Ruto's main competitor in 2027? I'm asking that question because we are seeing various candidates emerging. We've seen Okiya Mtata coming up. We are now seeing Matangi being supported by Jubilee Party. We are seeing Kalonzo Musyoka also coming up. And there are also some rumors that Rigathi Gachagua himself is also eyeing the top seat. And some Kenyans are still hoping and wishing that Raila Odinga will also offer himself for the presidency. Who do you think will be William Ruto's main competitor in 2027? And in the event all these candidates will be on the ballot, how will that race go? Before we have a look at all that, let's see what Amisi said today. History is replete with such mistakes. Nothing happening now that has not happened. The more candidates emerge to remove Ruto, the more Ruto will remain in power. According to Amisi, he believes that the more candidates emerge to remove Ruto, the more William Ruto will remain in power. I want us to put all this into perspective. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's proceed. Let me start by saying this. It will not be easy for Kenyans to remove William Samoei Ruto. And this is something I keep on repeating for Kenyans to wake up. Ruto is a genius political strategist. He has already looked at 2027 and is laying out strategies on how to easily win that 2027 presidential election. Ruto knew that in the event Raila Odinga was to be on the ballot, then he was going to have a serious challenge. Ruto had a way of cleverly removing Raila Odinga from that race. And that's why now Raila is campaigning for AUC. That's Ruto's clever strategy of removing Raila Odinga from 2027 race. Ruto also knew that Rigathi Gachagua, in the absence of Raila Odinga, was going to be a threat to his 2027 presidential ambition and re-election. So Rigathi had to be removed. And as it is, Rigathi remains impeached. He can't offer himself for the presidency. So Ruto removed another strong candidate. The ones left are just too weak to be taken seriously by Kenyans. And that's why you find all of them offering their candidature. We are seeing Okiya Mtata offering himself, Matangi offering himself, Kalonzo offering himself, and more candidates will be offering themselves. And if you look at all these candidates, there is no clear favorite, a confirmation that the strong ones are not in this race. That's how genius a political strategist William Ruto is. So for those who wish to send him home, they must go back to the drawing board and come up with a lethal strategy. If you look at these candidates so far who have offered themselves, I don't think Matangi can step down for Okiya Mtata or for Kalonzo Musyoka. And I also don't think Kalonzo Musyoka can step down for Okiya Mtata or for Matangi. And that is because all these politicians, they see themselves better than the other. Kalonzo believes he's the most senior leader of all these leaders offering themselves. Kalonzo also believes he has more support by the virtue that he has got support from his Kamba backyard. So he feels he's more popular than Okiya Omtata or than Matangi. If you look at Okiya Omtata, he thinks it's more appealing to Kenyans than Kalonzo Musyoka or even than to Matangi. Same to Matangi. He feels it's more appealing than all these other candidates. So it will be very hard for all these individuals to step down for one another. But in the case of Okiya Omtata, I'm meant to believe he's still doing his research whether to offer himself for the presidency or not. And that in itself also confirms he's not a very serious candidate. A candidate, before you announce or show your intention, you ought to have done your research very well. But you have Okiya Omtata, who is showing interest and then he says he's going to do research to know whether he's a viable candidate for the presidency. He ought to have done his research before showing open interest for that seat. So I see all these candidates as all weak. William Ruto cleverly kicked out the strong candidates from the race. So if all these candidates will offer themselves for the presidency, it's clear they will divide the opposition votes. So William Ruto will end up winning a re-election very easily, simply because all these opponents will divide the opposition votes. And I think that's what William Ruto intends to do. He wants to split the opposition. He wants to make sure there are as many candidates as possible so that the opposition votes can be split. That's what is happening here, ladies and gentlemen. From where I sit, if Kenyans were serious enough, they could have rallied behind one candidate, not Kalonzo, not Rigathi, but somebody such as Matangi or a leader with such Matangi's attributes. And if they do that, with the support coming from the Gen Zs, I think William Ruto will easily be sent home. But now with Kalonzo and Rigathi, these are already individuals that the moment they're on the ballot, some other communities will obviously gang up against them because of our ethnic animosities, especially when it comes to politics. But for Matangi, I don't think there is any community that will per se reject Matangi. Matangi has not been very vocal on political issues, so he can pass out as a neutral candidate, enjoying support across the country. Okiya Omtata's blunder is that he has proved beyond any reasonable doubt that is very desperate to please the mountain. And also when Rigathi Gachagua was being impeached, out of all the 11 counts that were brought against Rigathi Gachagua, Okiya Omtata never saw any count that was worth impeaching Rigathi Gachagua. He voted to reject all the 11 counts. And that, in my honest opinion, proved beyond any reasonable doubt that Okiya Omtata is not very honest with Kenyans. He's trying to play some tribal politics. He's out to please a section of the Kenyan population. He's not very honest with the Kenyans. And because of that, I strongly believe that Okiya Omtata's candidature will obviously get a rejection from some quarters. Some quarters will easily reject Okiya Omtata for having voted to save Rigathi Gachagua. He's being seen as a person trying to please the mountain at the expense of the good of the country. When you have a leader who is openly inciting communities against communities, talking about shareholding, and then you see no impeachable offense that person has done, that in itself is questionable. So unless Kenyans wake up, it will be very hard for them to send Ruto home. They must go the Gen Z way. They must identify a leader who enjoys political support across the board. And out of all these candidates who have offered themselves, I feel Matangi is the best. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's meet in our next analysis. Thank you.